It's essentially becomes a sort of live action role playing. So when you have a dangerous man, or you have the belief that you're with a dangerous guy, and he's somebody who is important enough to have enemies and important enough to have a bodyguard, then there has to be at least the suspicion that maybe this guy is in some way a bad boy. I've talked about hybristophilia in the past, and if you don't know what hybristophilia is, go look it up. Hybristophilia is the tendency, or they want to say the APA would like you to think that it's some sort of like personality disorder, but it happens so often in women that it's not simply a personality disorder. It is a function of women's mating strategy. And what hybristophilia is it's the tendency for women to want to fall in love with convicted criminals or dangerous men. So when you see somebody like Anders Breivik, who's in jail, right? Or you see a guy who's like the Boston Marathon bomber, or convicted criminals who have violent offenses, who are convicted. They did it. They killed people. Those guys tend to have the highest amount of like teenage girl fan clubs when they're in prison. In fact, they've had to, in some states, I'm not really sure, it might have been California, but in some states, they've actually had to separate female prison guards from the male population, because it happens so often that those prison guards would fall in love with the prisoners. They would try to break them out. Or you'll find, the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. I remember that too. That was back in the 80s. I remember when that happened, because I was in LA when it was going on. But Richard Ramirez had a fan club. He had women who were like carving like pentagrams into their hands, because they loved him that much. They really wanted to get with that guy. Even what Charles Manson, right? Charlie Manson, Jeffrey Dahmer, all of these guys. What's the guy? There's another guy that's in jail right now for killing his wife and his 3 kids or something like that. And he is getting like love letters and requests for conjugal visits. And I want to marry this guy in prison. Hybristophilia is the name that we give to that tendency, or that phenomenon. Let's just psychological phenomenon of women wanting to fall in love with convicted criminals. Like in some cases, rapists, in some cases, guys who are murder one, charged with murder one. And it doesn't just apply to them. There's also, you can also sort of like, you can redirect that for like women who like fall in love with like, ISIS warlords and, fly across the country to be with them and change their religion because they fall in love with the bad boy that much. Now, is that, of course, what are people going to say? They're just damaged women and they're looking for love and everything. Well, yeah, okay. You might be able to convince me in certain cases that might be the case, but it only happens with women. You don't see men going, oh, I'm going to create a teenage fan club for this girl who's in, Orange is the New Black. No, you don't see that happen with guys. You see that happen with women. Why is that? Well, because they want the roller coaster. He's in jail. He can't actually hurt me, but he's a dangerous guy. He has the capacity to kill other dudes. Clearly, he's convicted of it. So, in our ancestral past, the highest form of demonstrating higher value for a guy is to kill your rival, to kill the rival. That's how you knew the guy could kick ass and protect you and save you from the saber-toothed tiger. So yeah, of course you want to bang that guy because that looks like strong genes. That looks like the best option that you can get. Barring that, maybe the guy who makes a lot of money and has the potential to be a very dangerous guy to the point where he has to have his own private security, that you're just adding more fuel to that fire, the dangerous man fire. And it's not about, and I understand, I've seen in the chat here, people saying, well, Jordan Peterson said that, you need to be a good man, you need to have the capacity to be a beast and an animal and to have the capacity for violence. Yeah, well, that only makes any bit of difference if you're willing to demonstrate that. Because no one knows, and then I'm going to wax philosophical here because we're talking about Dr. Peterson once again. No one knows how much of a badass you are if you don't exercise it, if you don't demonstrate it, if you don't get in the MMA or you don't get in the octagon, right? So I don't care how big and bad you are. It looks like cowardice if you don't use it at some point. If you have, one of the reasons why women get off on a guy who like is forceful and dominant is because it implies protection. It implies that, and hopefully parental investment in them. But that's really what it boils down to. And that does, like, you could be, you can be Bruce Lee, but if you don't demonstrate that you're fucking Bruce Lee at some point, It just sounds like cowardice. You back down from a fight. Well, I know he could kick this guy's ass and like beat him within an inch of his life, but how do you know that if you've never seen him actually do something like that? And that's sort of the paradox of this dangerous man bullshit. Okay. If you're a dangerous man, you need to be able to prove that. That's why women fall in love with their very dangerous men. That's why they seek out very dangerous men. That's why they create teenage girl fan clubs for guys who are serial shooters or serial murderers in prison. So because they have a demonstrated capacity for it. So again, it's like you can take that however you want to, but unless you can demonstrate, not explicate, it looks like cowardice. You could say, well, I know I'm a black belt in this, and I've got, I'm special forces, and I've killed people in the past, and blah blah blah. But I could kill you, but I'm not going to because I'm a good man. It means shit. It looks like cowardice, unless you actually have some sort of like demonstrated ability to do it, and that's why women find those guys attractive. Evil is sexy.